Hello and welcome back to another episode on the PlantFuelled Femme. Today we have Jillian Smith with us again. Jillian's actually been on the show a couple times and we always have a great conversation. So welcome back, Jillian. I am super excited to see you again.
Thank you so much for having me. I just love the conversations that we end up having and all the different directions they go.
Right. They do seem to go in a lot of different directions for sure. um, I think today we wanted to dive in a little bit about, well, basically water. I know you've shared some of your own personal experiences with how your health has been impacted simply by changing the water that you drink. And I think that's absolutely fascinating. And I'm sure our listeners would like to learn a little bit more about what, why would we want to change our water? Like what's wrong with our water?
Yeah, absolutely. Like where do I begin?
I don't know because I mean, really, there is a lot about water, like from the source that you get it from to what it's packaged in to like, is it
Oh
clean?
yeah.
Is there microplastics in it? Are there hormones in it? I mean, like there's so many things that I think we don't even think about when it comes to water.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so unfortunate that we do have to start thinking about these things. But really, if you just think of like toxin exposure as a whole, and it's not to say like we need to become like hypochondriacs and freak out about every little thing we're doing or eating or drinking or whatever. It's like that's not the point. It's just like, how can we educate ourselves in a way where we're mitigating it so that it doesn't lead to a cascade of other like metabolic dysfunctions like the studies are clearly indicating today. Just there's a lot more than there ever used to be. And
Mhm.
we're just really beginning to experience the repercussions of that. So, yeah, I'll start with like just a little quick story on like why I became a water snob in that like category of wellness. And that is, I was exposed to water that was pretty toxic and actually contracted a parasitic infection from my water source. And it's like a topic nobody wants to talk about, but it's real. And I'm not going to go down that rabbit trail. I have lots of resources if anybody wants to go down that rabbit trail, but we don't need to do that today. But that's where it started for me. That's where it began. And it took a lot to get rid of that issue. And ever since then, I've just been like overly conscious, overly aware of my water source. And even in that time frame, I mean, this was like, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago now, our water quality has gone down. So, a website that's just like a quick note that everybody can go check and you can enter your own zip code and it'll tell you exactly what's in your water is ewg.org/tap water. And you can type in your zip code and it's going to pull up and it's going to show you all the contaminants that are in your water. And a majority of them are linked to, consistent consumption of them are linked to the big ugly C word. And this is not my opinion. This is like public data, public knowledge. And, that they are like 100 times, 400 times, 500 times, sometimes upwards of 1,000 times what the suggested limit is. And it should be legal limit, but we aren't at that stage with our water supply yet. Hopefully in the future, it will move in that direction. So yeah, the first thing is always we want to make sure that we are aware of what's in our water. And then unfortunately, things like the Brita or other, like your refrigerator filter, like they just aren't doing as much as some other filters. So you want to filter the water first, and then there's steps you can take to bring even more like of a health upgrade to it. But first and foremost, you want to make sure to get the junk out of your water. And I think people think they're doing really good if they're buying even like Mountain Valley or like Fiji, some of these like higher quality water brands, and they might be better than some of the other ones that are out there. But it's public knowledge. You can look up and find, a lot of them either are like you'll find arsenic, mercury, microplastics is a big one, especially in plastics, because on average it can take up to 5 years for a bottled water to reach a shelf in a store. And you see it all the time. Like, where are these cases of waters sitting when you notice them? And they're always baking in the sun. And when the temperature of the bottle changes, that's when the plastics leach into the water. So I know I kind of just went on a tangent there, but
No, I know. Well, even my husband, I don't know, I think he watched something online, probably got really concerned about the microplastics in the water. And so he
Crazy.
did, right. Well, it's a valid concern. But so he started, using a stainless steel water bottle. And like, while that helps some, I know that's not, well, it's not fixing the water, but at least it does help with some of the micro.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great first step to take, drinking from
Mhm.
black glass or stainless steel. I would personally recommend stainless steel just because now the way that they're producing glass, it is containing some plastic in it, unfortunately.
You're kidding.
Unless you like go through and make sure it's like certified 100% glass. It's like the industry in terms of wellness has just gone off the rails. Just like the dieting industry, it's like they just want to sell you the thing instead of like actually helping you. So, yeah, it's very unfortunate, but again, not to like freak everybody out and be like, you need to change everything you're doing today or you're gonna die. Like that is not the point.
Right.
That's not what I'm saying, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I did not know that about the glass water bottles. That is
so
crazy.
upsetting, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because
It's
we
like,
do have clients that only use glass.
so yeah, you just want to make sure that if you're doing that for that reason, that it is 100%. And the reason they don't do that is that it breaks easier, you know?
Right.
Like I get it, but it's like, what's the intention behind the choice of use? You know what I mean?
Right. Lower manufacturing costs, probably.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So aside from microplastics, which I think, that has been on the news a lot. So I think that people are starting to get a grasp of that. And maybe that's enough to start shifting away from some of the purchase of, plastic bottled waters. But what else are things that are common in water? Well, besides obviously parasites.
I know that's so like I know nobody wants to think everyone's like earmuffs, but
I,
it's like it exists.
right.
Um, but yeah, pharmaceuticals are really common and yeah, you think like any type of heavy metal, pesticides, herbicides, just things that we as humans were never meant to consume consistently. And again, if you look up your zip code, it's going to tell you like how many X times what's recommended for it to be safe. And so it's like, of course, it's going to lead to some kind of whether it can show up differently for everybody. It might just be brain fog, fatigue, poor sleep. Maybe it's impacting the cycle. Like it can be a cascade of different things depending on the individual, just like our diet.
Mhm.
But those are really common. And tap or bottled water really is just like glorified tap water that is now infused with microplastics. So I know that sucks, but that's the reality. That's like the truth. That's the ugly truth nobody wants to actually like acknowledge. But majority of bottled water is literally come from a tap. It's not like the mountains that they claim it's coming from, or that the marketing makes you believe, that it's coming from.
Right. No, I do know that. And I think that's wild. But I think a lot of marketing is like that.
Yes,
It's to make you feel good about your purchase.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And like don't like feel like, oh, I can never drink a bottled water again. It's like, no, just I'm a big proponent at this point of your home water should be your cleanest, healthiest
Mhm.
drinking water. And several different suggestions for anybody listening that doesn't want them in terms of like just filtering it for starters. You can get like a whole home filter. You can get just like a drinking water filter. It's up to you to the extent and like, yeah, I would say the investment that you're looking to make. But if you're somebody like I was historically buying bottled water to avoid parasites or these other things, that adds up pretty quickly. And so it's almost like a no-brainer if you're somebody that prioritizes that as a part of your healthy living protocol, we'll call it.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that that is true because like as a health professional, you always do you encourage your clients or patients, whatever, to drink water. And if
Right.
the water that we're drinking is, potentially causing, at the very least, inflammation, it
Right.
isn't it isn't doing exactly then what we want it to be doing in the
Mhm. And we're drinking it for hydration, but then we've
body.
got to detoxify some of what's in it, which our bodies were never meant to handle that level of a toxic load, but then now it's dehydrating you in that sense of like, yes, you're going to get hydrated if you drink enough water.
Mhm.
However, like you're using up water to detoxify some of what's in it and potentially storing some of it, you know, in our tissues. So
Right. That's a good point as well. So you brought up a whole house water filtration system. I think that is, I've talked to my husband for quite a while now about getting one because I think it is important. The things that are in the water, like you said, it magnifies our already toxic load that we have just from simply being alive right now. But not only are we ingesting the water, we are bathing in it, we are putting our clothes into it, and our skin is our largest organ. So if we're getting all of that, like, I guess, amplified, by ingestion and then topical exposure.
100%, yes. And that's a great point that I always mean to bring up, but often forget. Yeah, whole home filter or like shower filter if you're not, there's so many different routes you can go depending on like what you feel is in alignment for you and your family, but 100%. And the amount of chlorine that comes out of a bath or a shower is insane. I always
Mhm.
noticed, like, I took swim lessons when I was younger, and I would always break out when it was swim season. And the doctors would never tell me it was due to chlorine, but I kind of just like came to this conclusion. And I will lay out by a pool now, but I won't go in it unless it's a saltwater pool because it has that impact on me. And again, these symptoms or things are going to show up differently on everybody, but I even would like keep maintain this breakout just kind of like along my jawline. And once I started with the shower filter, that completely went away. So to your point, it's like just as much as you don't want to be drinking it, you basically are if you're bathing in it because your skin is meant to absorb things that rest on it. So if you take, I forget what the statistic is, but if you take like a 15 or 20-minute shower, it's like you drink,
Oh yeah.
I don't know, I want to say like a pint or 2 pints of chlorine, something like that. And like that visual is like, would you ever drink chlorine? And it's like, well, no. But this is the reality of what's in our water, and that's why it's like, at least important to start considering, even if you're not ready to like make that shift today.
Right. No, I think that the more aware people can be, I mean, everyone moves at their own pace. So, you
Sure.
know, gather information. Don't just listen to what I have to say or what Jillian has to say. There is so much information available online. Like we literally live in the age of information. And I think people are still so unaware of a lot of things. But really go research on your
Well,
own.
why would you think you need to like avoid chlorine in your shower? Like, I would have never thought, I didn't even know that until about a year ago.
Yeah.
And when I heard that, I was like, that's insane. So, and not to like dig into a pain point, but I was like, my husband and I want to have kids soon. And I'm like, I don't want to bathe my baby in chlorine. Like,
Right.
and they're so sensitive at that very, very young age. I mean, we can tolerate things a little bit better as adults, but
Mhm.
yeah, that really was like that like hit home for me because that was like all the things that I'm doing, to prepare my body for healthy pregnancy and then also like, yeah, just so that the baby is healthy, as
Right.
much as we can control.
Right, right. No, that's such a good point. And I didn't even think about that because like I was fortunate enough that when my kids were little, we had a well. And so I mean, well water is completely different than city water.
Completely different.
Oh yeah.
My
Yeah.
parents have well water, and there's literally one contaminant in their water when you look up their zip code, and it's like well below the recommended safe
Mm,
limit. And I'm like, why is that not everywhere? It blows my mind. But the standards for the water systems, it really is just that it's not acidic.
mhm.
So if you saw like the inside of these pipes that our water is fed through to our homes, like you wouldn't drink it. You would be
Probably not.
disgusted. And like again, I won't say I'll never drink water from somebody that doesn't filter this or that or whatever, but you whatever you have access to, it's important to drink water. But
Yes.
yeah, the more you know, it's just like mind blowing. Like, why is this okay?
Right. Well, I'm going through my PhD in functional medicine right now. And one of the modules,
Congratulations, that's so exciting.
thanks, because I needed some more things to do, right? One of the modules went into why would there's so many toxins in everything, right? Like, yeah,
Everything.
and it's in, these small amounts are supposed to be okay. And yeah, whatever, that's fine. But it's how we compound them. It's
I
in
was
the
gonna say,
food,
I
it's
think that's
in
what
the
people don't
water, it's in
consider.
our clothes, it's in the air, it's in our soap, it's in absolutely everything. And so therefore the toxic load is just absolutely compounded to a level where we can't process it.
Right. We were never meant to. It's the
Oh,
accumulative effect. It's not like the one thing. And that's where I can't stand some of these like gurus that
right.
get on their page and they're like, well, based on this double blind placebo trial, and here's the findings. And it's like, well, did you take those findings and layer it on to like, XYZ, whatever, call it pharmaceuticals or
Mhm.
pesticides, herbicides, like even, you know, I ran a detox program. I actually helped to create the one that Lifetime Fitness still runs today. It was like in its infancy stages, and everyone wants like the detox in the box. And like, so there, of course, there was like a product for that, but it was less about the product as opposed to like just building the awareness of all these different environmental factors through,
Mhm.
like you were saying, the water, the food, our
Yeah.
clothes. I was getting a rash like on my skin from like sports bras, and I had to like change them. And people would like run and get a cream for it, but not think to like change the clothing. And it's like, no, the clothing is what was irritating and compounding in that tissue. And like, how unhealthy is that for women?
Right.
Like, oh my God, I just like it upsets me.
Yeah. No, it does. And I actually really struggle with the clothes because like any kind
So
of
hard.
stretchy
Yeah,
clothes has plastic in it.
it does.
It does. And then
And what
we're
about these brands
wearing
that
them.
are like, we're sustainable, we're
Yeah,
recycling plastic to make our clothes, and it's like, oh my God.
I
And before
know.
I knew better, I was like, that's great. Like I have some in my closet still, but
Right, right. No, I know. And I'm just like, oh, but it is. It's so hard to find, well, exercise clothes that are
yeah.
made out of cotton
Uh-huh.
that are going to fit like they should without,
Yeah, and that are as comfortable as the other ones.
right.
They're
Yeah,
comfortable, but not necessarily for like a high intensity workout or like,
right.
if you're lifting a lot with the barbell or whatever,
Mhm.
whatever your
Oh,
choice of exercise. Yeah. I recently bought some and they still have like 10% elastane in them,
do
but
they? Okay.
90% cotton. And I'm like, okay, it's less toxic and let's see
Yeah,
how my skin does with this. But
yeah.
yeah, I haven't overhauled all my Lululemon.
No, no. Yeah, I think it is. It's such a big thing to think about. I think.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, and that's where it can get to be overwhelming. And like, I never
Uh-huh.
want to make people feel that way. And I know you don't
No.
inside of like your
Right.
community and your coaching. And it's just like, what are like the initial baby steps we can start to take and just planting these seeds of awareness, essentially.
Right. Yes. Yes. Be aware, find some more, information, some more, educate yourself some more, and then make a decision.
Mhm.
But I guess maybe it would probably be beneficial and helpful. So we have all these negative things in our water. What actually do we want in our water in order for it to hydrate us and do the good things that it is supposed to do in our body?
Yeah, so definitely first thing, getting rid of all the junk. That's
Right.
like step one. That's most important. But from there, I've become a huge fan and a big advocate. If you're going to remineralize, you want to make sure that a lot of people will do the reverse osmosis, and it's like it needs to be remineralized. Otherwise, that water is now taking the minerals from your bones instead of from the water it should have. So you can add mineral drops to your water if you don't want to go through and do that like whole system. Basically just like the trace minerals that you would be missing because of the lack of the quality of our soil today as
Mhm.
compared to like historically, which I know you're aware of all that stuff. You could probably go on tangents about it. But
Yeah, I
then
think
what? Go ahead.
I was gonna say that's like a whole nother conversation.
I know. We need to have like a series. We should sit
We
down and like
should.
organize a series. That would be
We
fun.
should do that. I think we discussed that at one point, and then
I
I
know.
lost what happened.
Let's make it happen. Like 2026 is our year.
Okay, the deal.
But yeah, from there, I'm a huge fan of molecular hydrogen water because of my experience with it. And it's one of those things where if you Google it, you're gonna find what you're looking for. Essentially, if you're more of like a skeptic, you're gonna find things from people that have been skeptical or that have never given it a chance. If you're a believer, you're going to find all the like cancer healing testimonials and that it's in integrative cancer clinics. And I'm not anti anything. I just like to do as much as I can from a, what do I have control over perspective? And then if we need anything further from there, we can absolutely do that in terms of medicine and all of that. But yeah, molecular hydrogen, several studies that do show it's one of the most potent antioxidants you can consume. And oxidative stress is the precursor to just about any illness or disease that exists. And so it really helps to essentially reverse that. It's almost like anti-aging water. They developed it because they looked at where are these blue zones in the world where people are living to be centenarians and not effortlessly, but just one of the things that is available to them that might not be available like to the rest of us. And they found that in these blue zones, the water was rich in hydrogen. And so the maker of the machine that I have duplicated essentially what he found in the water in these different blue zones of the world. And you can test it. You can get like a oxidative reduction potential meter, and you can test it against your tap water, your Brita filtered, whatever. And in terms of oxidation reduction, we want it to be as far on the negative scale as possible, which is like opposite of what our brain wants to think, because the negative usually means bad. But a positive oxidation reduction or oxidation potential is meaning it's adding to your aging process or like the aging of your cellular, function. And so, yeah, you can test this water will be upwards of like 800 to 1,000 negative, whereas tap water will be like plus 2, 3, upwards of 500, depending on what's in it. So it really is like, if you could add anything after removing what's bad in the tap water, like hands down, my recommendation, till I'm blue in the face till I die.
All right, that is so interesting. What was the name of the meter again? I
Oxidation reduction, like ORP meter. You can literally get one on Amazon for like $40.
Okay.
So yeah, there's that piece of it. And then from there, it's also gives you the ability to adjust the pH of your water. So I know the pH was like a big thing, like the Essentia, the Smart Water, all of those things, but they're making it alkaline by adding baking soda to it. And we can use baking soda to an extent and it be healthy for us, but we were never meant to consume loads of baking soda. It's not in that capacity healthy for us. So this is a natural way to adjust the pH where you are drinking a more alkaline water. And that was another thing, people who are very well known in oncology and they basically make the claim that disease, including cancer, cannot live in an alkaline environment. So it transforms your water to be alkaline and adds they say the most potent antioxidant you can consume. In fact, it's the equivalent of eating like, I want to say it's like 20 containers of blueberries. And we all know blueberries for being like so high in antioxidants.
Right.
So yeah, it's super powerful. And I'm somebody that always struggled with like bloating and painful periods. And I got it pretty well under control just through like healthy eating and appropriate exercise. However, there would always still be this like occasion where I felt like, I'm still doing everything right. And I'd randomly just end up bloated. And I've had my machine almost 2 years now. And I can't tell you the last time I was bloated with the exception of like when I've traveled and been without it. So it just, it gets rid of inflammation at a cellular level and gives your body the ability to do what it needs to do for healthy metabolic process.
Right. Right. No, that with the alkaline water, it does help. I mean, everything goes in and has to go through the digestive process, but the less things that the body has to convert to being alkaline, the more it's going to lower that inflammation.
That's a great point. And I never actually like thought of it that way. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah, because like the alkaline diet's been around for a long time. And a lot of people have used it for for reversing cancer purposes and just being generally like, I want to put it in the overly healthy box where we become too concerned with things. but it has been around for a long time, and it's interesting that there's the shift with the water, because like you can go in the grocery store and in the plastic bottles again, you can find the alkaline water, but it's not going to be the same, because now you have your alkaline water that's maybe not remineralized, but it now has microplastics in there too.
Yeah, we literally do a water demonstration for people and we show them like, okay, we can take this water and we can add baking soda to it and we put the pH indicator drops in it and now it's magically alkaline, but it's like
Right.
you're just drinking baking soda. And there can be
Right.
some like holistic integrative uses of that, but to be using that as your water source, I don't think is healthy.
Right. Right. Well, and not if you're trying to clean, if you want to clean all the things in the water that are not good for us out, then you're just
Also
adding
that.
baking soda. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I can't even imagine trying to push baking soda if you're drinking like a gallon of water a day.
I know, right? Can you imagine the whole,
No.
it just sounds
I mean,
disgusting. I know,
yeah.
and I used to be such like a, you always saw me walking around with an Essentia or a
Uh,
Fiji. Um, I think that those were like my go-to, but there was like one other that had like mountains on it, and I'm like, the
okay.
marketing tricked me.
Yeah.
They got me out.
Oh, I don't remember what that mountain one is. Yeah, no,
It's
I
like a
like
light
that
blue
one.
container.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I like that one, and the vase.
Yeah. Yeah, and you taste the difference. And
Yeah.
there are levels of like quality when it comes to the bottled water, but yeah, you get
Right.
all the other stuff with it too.
Right. Well, and that's something too. So say you're like in someone's house, you're doing a demonstration, you have your tap water, you have your baking soda water, and then I'm assuming you have your machine treated
Smart
water.
water, the machine water, we compare it to Gatorade,
Okay.
even fizzy water. I hate to like
Oh,
burst
really?
everybody's bubbles because I mean, I love orange Zevia or like the root
Mhm.
beer flavor, and it's definitely much better than a normal soda. So I'm not saying don't ever drink those, but even that is very acidic. And then, yeah, it's releasing CO2, which is, yeah, there's a reason we burp it out. Like, we're not supposed to consume it either. But we do
Right.
these things. So
Right.
it's just like knowing and then sandwiching what's not so great in between what is so great,
Right.
every day.
Right. Well, and I think it goes back to it, choosing to control what we can control. So maybe, have the fizzy drink, but maybe just don't have it every day.
Yeah, and or like chug some hydrogen water after it. And then another thing I
Right.
want to say quickly about that, because there's some like big name biohackers that have been very into the hydrogen water and promoting these different hydrogen bottles and tablets. And the
Mm,
problem with that is they don't use medical grade equipment inside of the bottles. And so these mesh plates that help to produce the hydrogen it ends up breaking down. And so now it's leaching the heavy metals back into the water. And then also, if the water wasn't pre-filtered, then it can turn some of what's in the water into gases that we definitely don't want to consume. And so now that more research has come out about that, a lot of people are going back on the bottle recommendation. And of course, again, there's like a tier kind of
mhm.
model in terms of like your options of quality, but I'm just like, if you're going for it, just get your machine. You need one once ever. They last upwards of 35 years if you take care of it. And
Mhm.
the tablets, they are just finding that it's potentially, causing some buildup and therefore toxicity in the body. So yeah, there's all these different tangents and like nuance to the conversation. And I, just want to like empower people to like make the decision when you're ready, but make sure you're making the decision that's like worth the money that you invest in it.
Mhm. Right. No, I think that's important too, because I have seen those hydration, like they're little water bottles.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I wondered, what they were like. And then people are like, you have to get one that makes a noise, like when you
If
feel
there's
it.
chlorine in the water and it's not
Uh-huh.
filtered before you put it in the bottle, you're now drinking hypochlorous acid, which is what you use
Awesome.
for wound care. So, yeah.
It certainly doesn't say that on the website.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. But again, that just goes back to lack of education, and
Uh-huh.
which is
It's
kind of
nobody's
sad
fault
because
for not knowing.
yeah, yeah, there is so much information available. We just, I think, aren't always good at finding it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it can be exhausting, It's like
Oh
you do
yeah.
almost have to become an expert to like know all the things. And even like food, for example, you find a healthy brand that has like a snack item that's like
Mhm.
not as bad as the normal, I don't know, we'll say like Oreos, for example, and
Mm.
there's like an off brand that's supposed to be healthier, not all the sugar, whatever, whatever. And then they sell to a company that
Oh, I
just like
know.
cheapens it again and makes it not good for you or
Right.
as good for you, again. And so, yeah, there's so much nuance.
No, no, there really is. Well, and I think too, you can find, and you kind of touched on this much earlier, but like you can find a study to pretty much support anything, like any point of view. There are studies that prove things that are true, that are not true, that are beneficial, that are harmful in just like absolutely every category you could possibly think of. So therefore, I think it can become confusing for people that aren't,
100%. It's
yeah,
so
that
confusing.
it is because you have to go through the studies and then you have to find other studies to support that one because just because one study says that it is true or not true, that may not be the case.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, I am like, it's so unfortunate that it is the way that it is, but it's almost like a spin-off of how the diet industry went wild into
Mhm.
like, yeah, the wellness industry is like a something billion-dollar industry and everybody wants to get in on something that's on an upward trajectory. And so you have to do your research or you have to
Mhm.
go to a trusted source.
Right. Yes. Trusted sources are easier.
Yes, they are much easier.
Yeah. So your company that makes the machine that you use, they make also a whole house one?
So it's a separate one.
Okay.
The machine that I use is the water ionizer. So that's kind of like
Okay.
step two to the process of filtration. It does
Mhm.
have a filter in it, but because the water quality is so bad in so many areas, I have a pre-filter. I suggest a pre-filter for most people, unless like my parents, we were able to just send them a machine because their water is so clean.
Mhm.
And they already had a filter on like the shower
Okay.
portion of their, yeah, I don't know, the person that was there before them kind of messed around with it a bit. But yeah, the like circling back around really quickly, the cool thing too about the machine is it makes so many different forms of the water, including healthy drinking water. The hypochlorous acid is like the natural, the non-toxic equivalent to bleach, so you can disinfect things. It kills like 99.9% of, viruses, bacteria, all those things. And then there's also the 11.5, which is an oil-based emulsifier. So to wash all of your fresh produce. And a lot of
Hmm.
people even use it as like glass cleaner, or they'll use it to clean their countertops. They might just add like some essential oil or something. And so it's like bringing that whole non-toxic element, but the whole house filter and or like the drinking water like pre-filter is separate. And that's where I say like don't get overwhelmed by it unless you're one of those individuals that's like, no, I want to do it all. I was one of those people, but I kind of like study things, study things, and then once I've decided, I'm like, okay, let's do this. But I would absolutely say start with either a whole house filter and or like at least your drinking water, like a quality, like NSF certified, all the things, filter.
Right.
No, I kind of went
Yes.
on a tangent there, but
You're fine. No, I think it's important to start like in the area that, like you said, that feels least overwhelming.
right.
But even simply just filtering out the drinking water, that's a huge
That's a
step.
huge step.
Yes,
Yes. And that's a
absolutely.
great step. As like I say this all the time, we're basically bags of water walking around on two legs. So if nothing else, just like the water that we're drinking, for starters, and then, you can, yeah, inch your way from there as you feel ready or called to.
Right.
I think a lot of people still kind of view it as almost like a woo-woo thing, but it's like, no, you
Mhm.
can test the water. It's like you can literally duplicate the experiment right before your eyes and you'll see.
Right.
Um, but
Well, and if people didn't know, like even on a subconscious level, that there's probably something wrong with your tap water for drinking, like there would not be the plastic bottle waters. There just wouldn't be them.
also that, yeah,
Yeah.
there wouldn't be a need,
Right.
a
Right.
quote unquote need.
Yes, that is very true. Okay. So I guess, Jillian, if someone wanted to learn more about the style of water filtration system that you use, where could they find you at?
I would just say either my Instagram or my Facebook. I do have a website, but it's undergoing some construction right now, some remodeling. So,
Okay.
but yeah, just Jillian is Wellness is my handle. Yeah, if you find me on Instagram, I can share all the resources and information about all the things with you if you are interested. And I always tell people, like, I know it's a lot to digest, so I'm just there to like be a consultant. I'm never that like, I'm not gonna like ever be like, are you ready? Like, do you not care about your family? Like,
I hate those kind of people.
I'm not that, and I don't want to be
Yes.
that. And I've experienced
No.
that, and it's like, no, if and when you're
Yeah.
ready, I'm here.
Okay. No, that's awesome. All right. So I think they can hop over onto your Instagram with any questions. That sounds like a great plan. Was there anything else you wanted to share with our audience today that we didn't get a chance to go over?
I mean, I think that pretty well encompasses,
Mhm.
yeah, that topic. And any questions that anyone has, I'm more than happy to, yeah, give them answers with research that supports the answers, because I know that's like a big deal. And, you want to know that it's like a credible source and it's not just somebody you found on the internet. So I don't blame for people for doing their due diligence, but also I'm so excited for you for this adventure that you're on. I might be following your footsteps in the future, but one thing
Oh,
at a time.
yes. Oh my gosh. I highly encourage one thing at a time.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Jillian. I truly appreciate it. I think this was hugely insightful and hopefully will, spark some people to, maybe like reassess like what is in my home and what are some steps I can start taking, because we do have to minimize our toxic load, and breaking it down into small manageable chunks is really the best way to go about doing it.
100%. Thank you so much for having me and for your time today.
Absolutely.
It's always a pleasure to be here.
It is. Thank you so much, Jillian. I appreciate it.